Welcome to our session, which is Enhancing Brand Experiences Using Mixed Reality. Now, as I said, we had three speakers, and our first presenter is Mr. Saham Ali, Director of Technology at Falcons Creative in the US. With 12 years of experience in media and developing and managing IT solutions for studios and VFX schools, Saham strengthens many avenues in Falcons, pushing virtual reality and augmented reality development for themed experiences. And I'll hand you over to Saham to start his session in a moment. But first, a quick note on our other two presenters. They are Eugene So, founder of Dude Singapore. Eugene is a creative technologist pioneering the world of mixed realities, a founder of Dude, which is a tech studio focusing on virtual reality and augmented reality. And the growing individual launched the world's second Instagram custom filter. And then our third presenter for today is Mr. Kee Cheng Heng, who is Managing Director of Hello Holo in Singapore. He will be sharing more on emerging technologies such as interactive holograms in our environment. And this has led the AAC industry to work faster, smarter, and more efficiently through hologram guides and digital twins. I'll hand you over now to Saham Ali, Director of Technology at Falcons Creative, for the first session. Saham, you have about 25 minutes. Please go right ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Hope everyone can see my presentation screen. Hi, my name is Saham Ali. I'm the Director of Technology for Falcons Creative Group. We're an architecture and design firm based out of Orlando, Florida. We bring brand experiences to life. A little about my history. I'm from the animation and visual effects world. And so I've had the opportunity of working on television, film, video games, etc. And bringing a lot of those concepts and uses of technology from that field over into the brand experiences that we provide has helped take Falcons to the next level as far as creating content for our clients, utilizing the latest in digital technologies. So what is a brand experience in its essence, right? So for us, a brand experience really does have to capture an audience and bring them to a place that they normally can't get to, especially at home, right? And there's three core ways that we feel that you connect with a immersive experience, right? There's obviously the passive, you see something in a window. However, there's the direct, where you're actually given an opportunity, like let's say at a zoo. Petting zoo is a great example. To expand would be to offer you multiple viewpoints or viewpoints that you may not have the ability to. For example, seeing the platypus exhibit at Epcot. Connect would be a good way to express that would be how you go to an immersive experience and you as a collective group experience together. And in our experience, we know that we have 5 main senses, correct? Our sight, our sound, our touch, our taste, and our smell. Some might argue there might be a little bit more. And as of late, as of virtual reality coming to the masses, and we have now found that you could almost say balance and proprioception or body awareness are 2 other senses that we have as we've now experienced in virtual reality. So what do we do with all those senses if we're alone, right? Virtual reality promised so many amazing things, and as a tool, it's great. It allows scientists, media creators, all these people to actually use this technology to engage with an audience. But unfortunately, it's always very problematic in the sense that you're kind of enclosed, right? As humans, we love to experience anything with our friends, a group of people. And great example here in this slide, concerts, going to the movie theater with our friends, going to theme parks with our friends and family. So as we also know that shared experiences and immersive experiences drive massive amounts of commerce. a good example of a direct experience might be something that we produced for Dragon's Treasure in Macau. This was one of the world's largest dome theaters that were constructed, held 500 people, water effects, lighting effects. So again, trying to engage as many of the senses as possible. Obviously there's audio, but having the tactile stuff like water, that was a whole next level. Another project that was a dome project was actually right here in Orlando, Florida at SeaWorld called Turtle Trek. This is one of the world's first 3D 360 dome experiences and had a 200-person capacity. So everybody there got to experience all of this together. If we fast forward a couple of years from 2012, 2013, we start noticing virtual reality technologies landing in the market. We were one of the early adopters of virtual reality. We were one of the Kickstarter members that helped kick off the DK1. And then quickly we saw the technology advance very quickly at a pace, honestly, that we had not experienced before. Everyone knows, well, maybe not everyone, but virtual reality isn't new. Virtual reality is actually something that started back in early 80s, 90s, but we had giant duckbill headsets, mainframe computers drawing very rudimentary graphics. So the technology kind of died down. And as of 2013, there was a giant uptick because finally the technology had caught up to allow for the experiences to be way more immersive. So what has come out of virtual reality? We have seen obviously the immediate VR, but augmented reality and MR, mixed reality. And they all have great applications that you don't have to settle on one. There's perfect use cases for one or the other. So some of the things that we started to play with when we started getting the virtual reality hardware in-house is using it as a tool to create immersive experiences that were for multi-people. So an example, in 2016, we produced this Hulk attraction over in IMG World in Dubai. And this is a 3D 360 experience, but in the process of the content creation, we actually use virtual reality to see our media content within context because we didn't have the ability to go to Dubai and see our content on this ride that hadn't been built yet. Fast forward a few more years, HoloLens starts hitting the market. Now augmented reality gets really exciting, right? 2017, we utilize some of the technologies that we started seeing coming out of this space for tracking, 3D tracking, which was essential for virtual reality to function in room scale VR. We started leveraging the HTC Vive's tracking system out of its normal context. You know, normally you would use this tracking system to figure out head position to provide virtual reality experiences, but we rather leverage this technology to create an interactive, you can kind of see it up here in the top right corner. This person actually has what looks like a flashlight, and it's connected to the HTC Vive system, and we're actually 3D tracking that flashlight to create a virtual aquarium. So you could use a virtual light to illuminate an aquarium and find animals that were hiding with camouflage, right? So a type of augmented reality, but more mixed because you're using something in the physical. Another example, we also brought virtual reality into this space where not only did we use it for the content creation, but also for the ones that didn't want to be in the actual physical experience and an immersive, I think it was 230-degree wrapped screen that also went around your feet. This was actually accomplishing virtual reality without a headset. Now you still had glasses because it was stereo, but again, it was going into that mixed reality concept. We're trying to get to virtual reality as a group without having an HMD occluding us from the rest of the world. Here is a short video that, let's see if we can get it to play here.
National Geographic, in their process of documenting the restoration of the church, had employed technologies of using LiDAR scanning and photo documentation to preserve kind of a snapshot of the church in its current form. Their main goal was just to kind of preserve it and keep a record of it.
This historic conservation was one of the first times that this site has been restored. So National Geographic was invited to document that.
It was really great. Once we got involved, we were able to actually utilize that data and import it into our media production pipeline to create the media itself for the experience.
We've used some technologies in this exhibition that we've never tried before. We have a an incredible 3D experience where you can put on 3D glasses and take you on a fly-through of the church and back in time. It's almost like a time machine to what the site might have looked like 2,000 years ago. We also use virtual reality, VR. We have some VR glasses and you can explore the church in virtual reality, which is something that we've never done in the museum exhibition before.
So, multiple uses of the technology, both in the content creation part and the actual final delivery of the media.
National Geographic.
And so fast forward a few more years. Now in 2018, we had the opportunity of working very closely with Busch Gardens, which is a theme park in the location up in Williamsburg, Virginia. We created the world first large-scale VR ride that had a motion base that housed 59 people at the same time. We had wind, motion, theatrical lighting effects, all integrated into the system. One of the biggest things in any large-scale experience, especially for a theme park, is THRC. Now, THRC is the idea of, what is the quantity, what is your throughput? How many people can you get through an attraction in 1 hour? And so with our optimizations, like decoupling the actual headset from the ride vehicle, allowing people to get fitted to the headset prior to actually entering the ride, increased our THRC to about 1,000 an hour. And so it's still one of the highest performing VR rides that are in existence today. If we fast forward one more year, this was a really exciting project for us. We got contacted by 343 Studios over here in the States, and they're responsible for bringing the Halo Outpost Discovery experience to life. Now, this was a very interesting project because first we were brought on for just producing media, but quickly we're actually involved in a lot of the aspects of this immersive experience because of our expertise in the field. And so not only did we have the opportunity of creating the ring experience, which in the next slide here, you guys can check out a video, but also adding our depth of how to bring these experiences to life kind of throughout the entire zone. And so in the next slide here, you'll get an idea of exactly what we achieved.
Halo Outpost Discovery is one of the largest traveling multi-day events ever created. One of the marquee attractions is the Ring Experience, a 360-degree theatrical presentation that was custom designed with a 12-degree pitch down of the screen so that the horizon line in the content would appear at eye level in relation to the audience. In the content, guests are linked to a live feed from a remote reconnaissance drone called the Honeybee as it takes flight through several unique environments in a seamless POV from start to finish. Layout and choreography were reviewed in virtual reality to replicate the sightlines of the venue. The content was rendered and composited at 7K resolution using a spherical camera, which was then converted into a dome master format for the theater.
So a little bit behind the process, right? Pretty involved. Fast forward one more year, we had an amazing opportunity to work with National Geographic again and Jane Goodall. And we're able to not only create a product that we have called Falcon's Vision, which brought AR experiences to public spaces like this, but also a 3D immersive theater, as well as a hologram, in-person hologram of Jane Goodall, where people could sit down and listen to her story and explain, everything that she's accomplished in her life. This was a really exciting project because it actually paved the way for us to bring to market one of the first AR VR headsets that totally developed in-house, but is specifically designed for location-based experiences such as this Jane Goodall experience. So if we fast forward here another year, this is the augmented reality at the Brevard Zoo, which is right around the road from us. And so what you'll see here is actually a tablet that's producing augmented reality for users outbound of the space. So they're creating water, filling it up, and everybody, not just somebody wearing a headset, is able to view this all together. So again, a very cohesive experience.
Interesting project. It was very fun to do. It was really nice working with real life elements and combining the virtual world and the real world.
Inside the tank, they're moving and living, and we can select different facts that pertain to each scene and kind of what's happening within each scene.
We had to find ways to calibrate the system to the actual real world and also create just the actual art of the water and the fish swimming and eating seeds.
So from that, the product that I'm talking about, Falcon's Vision, I'm not going to get into much of it. It's definitely something to check out, but effectively what you can see here is the design of the product, which wireless charging, water resistant, drop resistant. You know, we're not handing a $2,000 HoloLens to everybody that walks through an experience. So this is definitely a more cost-effective product for that experience. So now we start talking about way more XR, okay? So a really good example that has come out of an XR example is what Nike did. Nike Rise, if anybody hasn't seen this, I'll try posting a link after this. I know I'm running short on time, but basically an LED floor with 3D tracking on players has allowed trainers, people in the NBA to run drills on the floor and actually make not only training, but entertainment. So I'm gonna really quickly jump through here so everyone can see.
Draw it on the iPad, it comes up on the court and show the players exactly what you want.
So pretty incredible. I'm sure you guys might have seen this. We were definitely amazed by it when we saw it. One of the world's largest, I think it's 8K curved LED walls in the world in Seoul, South Korea. Really impressed by the content. I think company is D-Strict. But again, an example of what we would really call XR, because it is definitely giving the perception as I'm looking at a product in a window with the perspective that matches. It's very, very, very compelling. Definitely a fan. Very impressive. Hats off to these guys. So what's next? This is the part that really excites me. We are definitely seeing a giant shift in the industry. Now, again, coming from the visual effects and animation industry, virtual production is a hot ticket item. I myself had the opportunity, I was selected by Epic Games with the Unreal Engine to partake in the virtual production fellowship. So I'm actually going through it right now, but the idea of bringing these technologies, motion capture, LED walls, compositing, real-time tracking, all together to be able to achieve things that before just weren't possible. What's given is the ability for people to immerse in virtual environments without having to be there. Really quick example of what you can do with a really basic concept of virtual production, right? Well, now we take this to another level. So then you have the option of, with virtual, well, this is more of a virtual production capture volume, but now capturing video from every possible vantage point, I can create volumetric video. I now have the 3D data pre and post. So even after I've shot the footage, I can go to any angle I wish and look at the footage. So this leads to one major development. I think we're going to talk about a lot about it here, is the concept of digital humans. Digital humans have been around for a while. They're not new, but the interactive real-time digital human is definitely new. And this has been especially in thanks to not only the tools and software that have become available to the industry, but also the hardware, where NVIDIA has really been leading the charge in this GPU technology as of a couple years ago, coming out with RTX to allow for ray tracing, further pushing the envelope of what is possible in real time. And you are capable of now producing digital humans that aren't for film, but actually real time. So again, here's another example, more of an art exhibit, but taking a digital human of Barack Obama and Donald Trump and actually driving it real time with camera and facial capture. Really good example, but the thing you got to keep in mind here is that digital asset, this person can be used in a holographic sense, can be used in signage, can be used in, people have even decided to use some of these things for digital doubles for people in film. One very famous actor, I can't specifically name, amazing martial artist, has a digital double of himself so that in the event that he ever has to do a retake of a film, he's actually able to use his digital double and the computer graphics company can replicate him, but not in real life. Here's another example of what hyperreal can achieve. This was actually a tribute to David Bowie. What you're seeing here is actually, again, a digital human representative of David Bowie, the artist, being driven in real time with facial capture. So there's actually an actor driving his head position, eye blinks and everything in real time. And this is an amazing example of how you can engage with an audience with talent that doesn't necessarily exist in the real world anymore. The fluidity, the types of graphics that we're able to achieve nowadays has really allowed us to push the envelope. Here you can see is another example of a digital character, but with the fidelity of what you would find in film, but this is in real time. Some of the other technologies that we're really excited about that we're gonna see here in the next couple of years, obviously there's tricks that everyone can still do. Pepper's Ghost is a great example. This is using a really old trick, but in context to actually putting somebody behind an actual physical object and then using it to overlay video as well. This simple trick, this hack, is very effective if done properly. This is actually at Kennedy Space Center for the Heroes and Legends exhibit that we produced. This is, again, some of the behind how it's actually kind of functions. Really basic 45-degree mirror with a bright object reflecting back to the audience, and then you're able to overlay that person below. Transparent LED, I know that LG has definitely been in the market for this. We've seen, I know Mi has just come out with their transparent technology. We're really excited to get our hands on it. We only know the future is bright for this technology. Also, a really interesting concept. This is a holographic technology from Looking Glass. Really excited about this because it actually, again, allows you to do real-time 3D graphics that is interactive. Coupled with something like a leap motion that can take human input, now you can interface with something in a holographic setting without having to wear 3D glasses. Very, very powerful effect. This is actually me. I got to play with it over here at SIGGRAPH last year using the leap motion. You can't tell here, but that's actually fully 3D. It's stereoscopic 3D. You don't have to wear glasses. This is a very convincing effect, again, using this type of technology, if executed properly, is very effective, but it's basically like a reverse Pepper's Ghost, but with a lens culminator, bringing the imagery out into Z space actually makes it feel like this hologram is floating. And what's really impressive is it still works on my camera. So you can imagine how impressive this is in real life. Same concept, they're now projecting the same image down into water, which as an immersive experience, if you were to use this type of trick, could be very convincing. Very similar concept. Now we're projecting back in the water. One part of the gag is you're actually able to use a scoop of water and bring it up and out, and you're actually going to hold this fairy in your hand until the water drains out of the cup back into the water, right? So pretty engaging. This is an oldie but a goodie, but we really found this as a really important example. This was produced back in 2010, but was an early example of what you can do with projection mapping in basically mixed reality before this was commonplace. All you're seeing here is rendered in real time, tracked to the point of view of the camera, and all those projections are perspective matched. So very difficult to achieve back then, a lot easier now, but still a very strong example of what's possible. And another example, this is facial motion capture, one of these technologies that has been around for a long time, but adapted to use facial tracking, motion capture, and then using a projector to project in real time onto a face of an actor. This was also used for the Grammys, where Lady Gaga dressed up as David Bowie and actually had, I want to say, a spider come out of her mouth during live on TV in a performance. So as we can see, all these different types of technologies used together, very compelling immersive experiences. And the biggest key to all of this, we have to do it together. Doing it by ourselves, never as fun. Doing it with friends, with all of you, is definitely what we live and breathe to do. And we're very excited for the next few years where all these technologies is going to start to mature more.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali.
Fascinating presentation, and thanks for all those fantastic examples you've cited. We have our second moderator, Kun Lalida from Thailand, joining us now. I apologize for the audio issues that we faced earlier. And also we have a few minutes for Saham to take your questions. Just a quick reminder to all Zoom attendees, please do not worry, your mics and cameras are disabled. If you wish to make a comment, just click on the chat at bottom left, the chat button at bottom left, and tell us where you are from and how do you find the topic. If you want to ask a question, you can click on the Q&A at the bottom right, and that will tell us which speaker to address your question. Also, if you're tuning in via Facebook, please post your queries in the comment section, and we're going to try to get to you. Audience questions will be asked at the end of the session. Okay, any questions for Saham at the moment? If not, Kun Lalida, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, sure. Actually, my name is Lalida from ONG&ONG. I am Interior Design Director in ONG&ONG, Thailand. And nice to meet you guys in here. And thank you, Ari, for your presentation. It's very amazing. And then I saw that there's so many people participate for this. It's about like 200 something that listen for your presentation. But actually for now, we have like Q&A for you. And then, yes, for the first question that I like to ask is, would MX reality for attractions and educational use transition well to post-COVID commercials and hospitality space?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. It's definitely something that we're facing today. A key for that, we're really seeing that the idea of frictionless AR and reality is going to be key to achieve these type of social experiences in the coming future.
Yeah.
We're definitely experiencing, we've noticed it. We've had our clients reach back out to us, and we're definitely adopting a lot of our technologies. Now, there is the reality of you will be around other people, but we definitely see, getting away from having to put on a headset is key. And so that, and also kiosk, getting away from having to touch kiosk and using gesture-based computing versus actual touch computing is definitely another path forward.
Yeah, actually like very helpful for this situation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, actually like for another question that people sent to me, like, do you notice any difference in audience participation between the East and West?
Like all the way to the East or East? Okay.
Yeah, how different? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, some differences, but I mean, I think that's where whenever we're crafting our experience, we definitely do it to the audience. And we work very closely with the client. The ideation process is very critical that we understand the culture that we're presenting to. And so depending on the experience and the locale of that experience, the media content definitely is authored to cater for that audience.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like so many people interested in this. And then another question, how far of the impact of the technology on AEZ industry?
How is technology affected the AEZ?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely for the positive. For the visual effects industry, it was a tool. And for AEC, we found it as a tool. I remember the first time we got our HoloLens and we're able to take models of architectural designs and go on site and be able to see what our final product will look like. And that was very powerful, especially for the creatives to see everything in context. So
yeah, it's super cool for that. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop the Q&A right now. There'll be an opportunity for more questions and answers from our participants right at the end of this session. Right now, we'd like to hand the mic over to our second presenter, who is Eugene So, founder of Dude Singapore. Eugene?
Hello. Hi, I'm Eugene. So I'm gonna share my screen. Oh. Okay. Let me just get the chat open also, just in case I see any. Where is the chats? Oh, did I stop sharing screen? Okay, where is my chat? Okay, chats. Share screen. Okay. All right. Okay, full screen. So I am Eugene So. I do art and technology. So I'm the founder of two companies. One is Dude, one is Mind Palace. So Mind Palace does more VR for the elderly, and Dude does a lot of these days we do a lot of augmented reality, and the augmented reality is on Instagram filters, mostly on Instagram filters. We do the other types also, but these days there's a lot of requests for from brands to do Instagram filters. So this is the size of my company. We are 5 people. So I used to be running this for like 7 years, mostly by myself since I graduated. But since last year I started to expand. So from last year I have times 5 the size of my company. So this is the type of the type of work that we usually do. This is for Microsoft. This is for the Microsoft Ignite conference in Orlando. We made this installation where the conference goers at the Microsoft Ignite conference, they would pull up 3 other people, and then they go in front of the. This is not a projection. The actual one is actually a LED screen wall. So they do this like running motion to raise the flag, and the goal is to raise the flag all together and see which team finishes it quickly. The goal is to get them to know each other, because usually conference goers, they will go there and they are by themselves and they don't know anyone. So this one is to kind of an icebreaker, if you will. So this was the actual installation. That's the LED wall there, and then people will be standing in front there. So this was last year's Ignite conference. So this, I guess it would be the last physical Ignite conference for maybe at least another year. So we were very privileged to have been there for the 7-day conference. I was also speaking there, telling them about the stuff that I do. So how I started in this art technology world was I went to NTU. There's a local university, and I went to a fine arts school, the fine arts course. And in year 1, I made this photo. This photo, in year 1, we do lots of like foundation stuff, like painting and everything. So and nude drawings also. And so it was a lot of foundation stuff. What I was doing most with my time was going out and meeting people, going to parties, going to drink, and then just meeting lots of people, and having fun. The goal wasn't to meet people; it was just for me to have fun. But I just happened to meet lots of people. Then one of the people that I met was this magazine, Campus Magazine. He runs a magazine called Campus. It's not affiliated with any particular school, but they are a magazine that distributes at all like the tertiary institutions. So he knows that I do some photography, and he asked whether I wanted to put any of my photos in the centerfold page. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. Then I looked through my portfolio of photos, and I wanted to pick one photo to put in there, but at that time I had like full of my portfolio. That time, year 1, what kind of portfolio do you have? It was like full of series of very pretentious kind of shadows of flowers on the floor. I thought I was very deep, but I couldn't pick out one photo to put in the centerfold page. So I decided to shoot a new one. And since I was going to go into the specialization of interactive media, programming stuff, this was supposed to be my last goodbye to photography. So I shot this in year one and then published it. It was published in the magazine, great, fantastic. Then I moved on to developing games and making installations. Then when I was year three, it suddenly went viral on Facebook. I don't know what happened. Maybe Facebook's algorithm changed or something. Then this photo went viral. Then suddenly galleries were asking me whether I had more. But little did they know that this was the only one. It was a one-off thing. So I could have been the guy to like tell them like, oh, don't disturb me. I have my life plan ahead of me already. I wanted to. At that time, I thought I was going to be like a game designer for some Blizzard or Ubisoft or something like that. Then I could have been the guy to tell him, oh, don't disturb me. I'm going to be a game programmer. So, but I obliged. And then I made a whole series of like recreations of Renaissance paintings, famous paintings into like the Singapore context. So I had my first solo show when before I graduated. Then ever since then, I was in the art world. And then newspapers were publishing me as Eugene So, the photographer, which I didn't like. I didn't want to be called a photographer because I do like so many things. We're like, every one of us were like multifaceted. And then to call you like a photographer is like saying you are an iPhone user, and that's all about you. I mean, being an iPhone user is all that you are, which I was trying to run away from. So I went to create bigger works, and I think I successfully ran away from this photographer title. Then nobody cared about this series anymore until 2 years ago, 2018, Singapore Tourism Board, they wanted to bring this series around they wanted to have a traveling show around the world, featuring Singapore artists, Singapore music, and then they chose this series. And they know that I do technology, so they were asking me like, hey, do you want to put augmented reality on top of these photos and fly them around the world? So these were in Moscow. This is Myanmar. So five different countries: India, Bangkok, Vietnam. Did I name 5 already? I think I did. So at that time, I was telling that, oh, augmented reality for this kind of thing. My previous shows, my experience with augmented reality was that you would develop an app, and then you put the augmented reality on top in the app to interact with your artworks. And then during the show, you ask people to download the app, and then nobody will go and download the app. So I was actually discouraging them at first. Then they were telling me, Singapore Tourism Board, they were telling me there's this new way of doing augmented reality where there's no need to download a new app, frictionless, and it's using Facebook. So I was like, what are you talking about? You have no idea what you're talking about. But I didn't believe them at first, but I went to go and check it out, and turns out they were right. So I went to do it the idea was to turn my photos into like a sort of Harry Potter portraits where they start to move and then you see the characters interacting with each other. So I did this on all 5 of them in a record time of 1 month. So I learned the software that Facebook made and produced this. Then ever since then, it went around the world. And then the last show was back in Singapore in January this year, before the COVID circuit breaker hit. So I was hooked. To the platform. I was like, wow, suddenly it's so easy. So I went to go and try on a lot of other stuff like, oh, can I censor my nipples with emojis? And yes, I can. Can I turn myself into Yusuf Ishak on the $50 note? Yes, I can. So so I started sharing this on the thing about this is like it's very easily shareable. So not only just the videos that I make, I can pass them a link, and other people can like censor their nipples, their own nipples, and then they can become Yusuf Ishak themselves. And it's very, very shareable because people usually already have the Facebook app. So recently, I also made one. So this Singapore $50 note one, because the audience is on Facebook or Instagram, it is a global audience, but I did the deliberate choice to choose a Singapore $50 note. I could have pandered to the international audience and used like a more recognizable US dollar or something like that. But because I'm a proud Singaporean, I feel like we gotta represent and celebrate Singapore first instead of pandering to the international audience. So I made one more. Recently, Sugar Shay, a Singapore local rapper, he released a song called Sing Dollar, and then he tagged me in it because he used one of my filters. So I thought, oh, obviously because it's called Sing Dollar, he obviously used my $50 note filter, right? So I went to watch his whole video. And I found that he used another one of my filters, but not the $50 note. Then I was like, what is going on? Why didn't he choose the most obvious filter to use? So I went to check out my profile, and turns out my $50 note filter was disabled because it's 2 years old and the API is outdated. So I needed to update it. So 2 weeks ago, I went to update it and I kind of rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. So it goes like this. So it's like 2 years of skill difference, and they also developed lots of new features into their software. So I spent 1 day to recreate the whole thing. So then also another local musician, Jasmine Sokko. This is a mask for her. Not released yet, but coming soon. Then another game that I made on Instagram, which is this colorblind filter game, which is to let people test their oh whoops, I changed. So the game is very simple. You pick the different color. You just try to pick the odd one out, and then as it gets to the higher levels, it gets more difficult. This was actually the idea was from a popular game on Facebook that got popular among my augmented reality friends. So it is kind of almost a copy of that. It's called that game is called Lito Different Color. So among my augmented reality friends, we were like playing on that Facebook game. It wasn't an AR game. It wasn't a filter. It was a straight on Facebook game, and then it went viral among ourselves. So I joked with them and said, "Hey, wouldn't this be nice as an Instagram filter game?" And then I didn't really intend on making it, but a week later, one of my augmented reality friends, she said that, "Hey, are you gonna make that game? I saw your comment. Because if you're not gonna make it, then I would make it." So I thought, okay, I'll just give it a try since I got dibs on it already. So I spent one night and made this game, and I put it out there, and then it went super viral, like 1 billion views now since then. So I have one of my staff, our business manager Casey, has put an analysis on why it went viral. What are the different things that the different reasons why it went viral. So you can go and check it out at ar.dude.sg. So there's a lot of other articles down there for like marketers to go and see, like, oh, how do you use QR code? So we put out a lot of our secrets out there so people can use these tips to like boost their it is the stuff that we tell our clients, like when they commission us to do an Instagram filter, it should be tied. It shouldn't be on its own. It should be tied with like a whole campaign, and then the Instagram filter or could be the main thing. It could be part of it, but it should be part of a campaign. So like all these tips are on ar.do.sg. So there's this other filter, a music by the Sound Lab. This is a kind of quite an advanced filter for Instagram. I'll let you see it. So what's happening here is people are using their phone and actually looking around and using the phone to aim the laser to shoot all these big heads attacking Earth. So they are attacking Earth and you are saving our planet. The idea was to create this epic filter experience for them to that line, did you hear, is from Rick and Morty. So there's a lot of, even though the technology has been around for at least 2 years, this one has there's a lot of first in the world stuff, a lot of technology a lot of things that are used in this filter that's first in the world, like nobody has done before. So, and I was very proud of this filter, but the reach of this filter wasn't as much as, and I spent 2 months making this filter, but if you see this colorblind one, which I spent one night on, it went to like billions of views, which is, and then this one I spent 2 months on, it got like millions only. So millions is actually a small number in terms of like Instagram views. So like usually most of my filters usually hit 1 million views quite easily already. So this is like kind of behind the scenes of what it's like. Behind the scenes in the software. So you see they're floating around in space. And like this is the like third person view of what of what the software sees. So nobody would actually see this perspective. A little bit into how the software works. So I tried making a Minecraft game where people can build Minecraft blocks in augmented reality in their own living room. Let's fast forward. And this one, she is walling up her cat with Minecraft bricks. Then there's also a lot of trends. There was recently, earlier this year, there was this trend of which Disney are you filters. Like you go there and then they would randomly generate, oh, you are Mufasa. I hated that. That is like, then after that, a lot of people were copying it and then they're just taking out the assets and making some lazy ass copy of the which Disney are you filter. So I actually wanted to make one filter that blasts all the Disney, which Disney are you filter. So all the little hits down there were supposed to be faces of you using that filter, but I thought that was too negative. I should just let people enjoy things and destroy bad vibes a bit. So this one, instead of destroying those filters, it's destroying bad vibes. So this was the filter that Shaker Shay used in his music video, in his AR music video, which is where people pretend to be Lee Hsien Loong and making an announcement about the circuit breaker. So this one was quite funny also. All those that I just mentioned, those were personal slash for musicians. Now I'm going to show you some for brands. So Tiger Beer recently, last year they launched this campaign where they put like the district on the bottles, like Ang Mo Kio, Balestier, Bedok onto the bottles, and then this is to remind everyone that Tiger Beer is from Singapore. And then what I did on it was to turn 4 of those bottles into the actual buildings, in augmented reality. So when you point your phone to it, the bottles will turn into these buildings. So that was in collaboration with Singapore Tourism Board. And then this one was for Sports Hub, Sports SG, where you get to play soccer with Nila. So this was very early on in the Instagram and Facebook AR world, where we were still allowed to collect users' data. So you see the screen here, people enter their email, and then it gets sent to my Firebase server. Then after that, I share whatever I have with the with Sports SG, and then Sports SG will send the user an email to like register an account for ActiveXG, or if they are already an existing account, they can claim their prize for like scoring high score against Nila. And it's like actual prizes that they will give out. There's no like minimum purchase of anything. You go there and you collect the thing, no questions asked. So, but Facebook, after going through the whole privacy scandal thing, I wouldn't call it a scandal thing. It's like that privacy issue. They decided, okay, no more. We cannot let creators get the data, so you can't do this anymore. That filter has been disabled. I can make another version of it that doesn't collect data, but I'm a bit too busy now. So this one is for Sengkang Hospital during their opening. It is on a 3D sculpture in the middle of their hospital. So, and because it's a 3D sculpture, there are different perspectives to it. So let me just open up the chat. Oh, 3 more minutes. Okay, let me just wrap up. So this one is, so there are 3 different perspectives. You can look at it from 3 different angles, and then 3 different things will appear. This one is for Love Bonito. And then the place will turn into flowers. So I'll just skip a few more ideas. Oh, this one is for McDonald's. For Indonesia's National Day last year. Okay, I don't think I got any more time, but I can just tell you about this one, which is a VR for the elderly. So the reason why I got into the VR for elderly, right, is because one of my friends, he is a journalist for the Straits Times. He knows I do lots of VR. At that time, I was doing like VR games that, very silly games, like you control. I wanted to make a Tron game, and then but Tron is copyrighted by Disney. Then, so I decided to turn the Tron character into a puppy, into a dog, because it was the year of the dog, and you run around a HDB flat, and the light, instead of a light trail, you leave behind shit, you leave behind poop. And so you leave like a poop trail, and then you're shitting everywhere in the HDB flat. And the goal is to run in front of the other puppy and get them to touch your poop. And then once they touch your poop, they will explode. So that was the kind of silly games that I made on. It was on the phone, so there was no interface. You put it inside your Google Cardboard, and then you tilt your head left and right to control the movement of the dog. And it's auto running. He's just auto running everywhere and shitting everywhere. So, but he didn't think it wasn't that kind of game that he wanted to bring to the elderly, because he stayed in an elderly home for 1 month. For 1 month for an investigative journalism piece, and after that he asked me, hey, why don't you bring your VR goggles, but to maybe just like give them some escapism. Like once they put it on, then they are like in Great Wall of China. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. So I started doing that last year, and then ever since then we found that it was very beneficial, and then I kept going back there to do it. And
hi, Eugene, sorry, I've just got to chime in. You have to wrap maybe in about 30 more seconds. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll just show you, end off with this video. So this one, right, it is an idea for Society for the Aged Sick. Society for the Aged Sick, because in VR there's like only visual and audio, so they wanted to mix in like, oh, why don't you include food? And then once we got this food here, it mixed in all the 5 different senses, and it was made a very memorable experience. So now I've actually moved on away from VR into more like immersive room kind of thing. This was before the COVID period, but even before the COVID period, I was realizing that all my goggles being shared around all the residents, it was getting very gross, very smelly, and then it's getting very itchy even when I'm like trying to clean it. We put the foam piece into the washing machine, and after that, it's still itchy, still smelly, and a bit yellow. So I decided to, NTUC Health, Geylang East commissioned us to turn one of their rooms into this immersive room. So now we have built our second one already, and I think this is the direction that we are going with. because we have built our second one, I think, and we are building more games on this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. Actually, time for Q&A for you that people try to ask me to ask you again. And then for the number one, would you think site-specific AR?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. Do you hear my voice very well, right? Hello.
Yeah, I can't hear anybody.
Okay.
Is anyone
sure.
talking?
Would you think like site-specific AR installation by Asian contemporary artists help improve public space?
Hi, Eugene. Can you hear
Sorry,
us?
could you repeat? Could you repeat that? Repeat that.
Sure.
I had my speakers on mute.
Okay, sure. Would you think site-specific AR installation by Asian contemporary artists help improve the public space?
How AR help contemporary Asian
public
artists
space.
improve the public space?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's definitely one more interaction. So I've made, you saw that Sengkang hospital interaction. I guess it gives the artist one more level to express themselves, or to let other artists like me come in and impose our own version of their artwork, so our own interpretation. So it allows for people like me and other people who maybe work with people like me to express their ideas without actually messing around with the actual artwork. So yeah, I think it's quite good. So the actual artwork is not touched, and then you can like just freely drop rockets on it and do mess around with it.
Okay, thank you. And another question for the last one. Quickly, do you think AR will take over the traditional media, since we are now stuck in the COVID and digital is the main media right now?
Yeah, recently we have been getting a lot of inquiries. We have already been getting lots of inquiries, but I expected the inquiries to die down because restaurants are closing, people wouldn't be wanting it. But it actually did not die down. We're still getting lots of projects, lots of brands. So I think with Facebook and Instagram getting more and more developed, and like competing with TikTok and Snapchat, I think that it's gonna be quite mainstream. It's not going anywhere.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Eugene.
Thank you, Eugene.
Right
now, we'd like to go over to our third presenter for this session, Mr. Kee Cheng Heng, who is Managing Director of Hello Hollow in Singapore. Cheng Heng, you're on.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eugene, as well. A very, very nice presentation. Okay, I'm actually having about 4 different screens here just to observe the different things. So it's not that I'm not looking at audience, but I'm looking at the different screens sharing. All right, just going to share my screen now and launch the presentation. All right, okay, I shall begin. Hi, everybody. I'm Cheng Heng. I actually run Hello Hollow since 2016. And essentially what we do at Hello Hollow is really doing immersive media solutions, focusing on the mixed reality hardware. And we'll be bringing this device into the Singapore as well as various Asia Pacific regions to really enable companies to actually know how to actually effectively use these tools accordingly. I mean, nowadays, a lot of people are talking about immersive media being very gimmicky and not really bring that business value around to each of these clients and companies. And that's why we are actually focusing on trying to bring the correct business values to each of these companies accordingly. All right. Down the years, we have traditionally, I would say, transformed into various areas such as consultancy and a few more areas. I'll be elaborating it shortly. All right. Our team size currently is about 25 people. We have engaged with over 120 clients with 11 different industries. Like what I mentioned, it's not just in Singapore, it's in Thailand, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Malaysia, etc. And us as a company, we are moving away from just being a service-oriented company. We are moving into product lines as well. So this will be some of our items that I'll be sharing on how you can actually make use of this in your company use cases. So just to share a bit more on the company timeline, how we first actually started off We are founded with 4 members. Previously, I was running this company called Ascension Studios, doing turnkey solutions. Anything not available off the shelf, we'll do it for you. And when we saw that Microsoft HoloLens was launching, we decided to bring in 2 of these devices. We just wanted to rent it out to people, let them try it out, and then just break even and move on with life, right? But then after a while, we realized that there was such a demand for it. We rolled out private courses at places like Nanyang Poly, doing advanced diplomas. We launched a device acquisition stream, helping people to be able to bring these devices into the Singapore context and region. We also delivered this bespoke solution for PwC that I'll be highlighting a lot in relation to brand recognition. We also got our first critical 10 hires in 2018. We also launched one of our public app showcase with National Museum of Singapore under the Digimuse project. It was funded by IMDA as well. In 2019, we moved our HQ over into CBD area. We're now based at Eon Shenton and Shenton Way. We rolled out our mixed reality developer courses. We incorporated our modules into places like Ngee Ann Poly Diploma, SIT degrees, etc. And we also launched Industry 4.0 Activation Suite, which I'll be sharing down the road as well. All right, these are our team members. Kawe is our technical lead, and Rong Kang is our technical advisor as well, and also my co-founder. Some of the clients that we actually engage with. And within the entire Singapore context itself, I'm sure those that have done VR, AR, MR will be able to see that there's quite a number of people in this area. But honestly, there's only this many players. So these are some of our partners. So today, I'll be highlighting 3 opportunity areas enabled by mixed reality technology that you can apply for your brand experiences, your activities, your conferences, and how each of these opportunities will help to make your event unique, amaze your audience, as well as inspire your customers. All right, so first will be for events being held remotely. Why not bring an exciting event experience back home and add a little sparkle by using augmented reality, using technology your users already have, being mobile phones, tablets, etc. Secondly, how about immersing your audience into bespoke, creative storytelling techniques designed for either small personal events or even large events as well. And lastly, I will also show you the magic of using mixed reality collaboratively, which enable you to feel as if you're in the same room during your events. All right, and over here, a company that you may already know recently went down this route to actually deliver a unique keynote experience. All right, there's OnePlus. I'll be sharing a bit more in that. But let's face it, right? We'll not be having all of these large in-person events anytime soon. We'll still be having remote events for the foreseeable future. I personally will miss attending keynote events in person and probably have taken over hundreds of Zoom calls to date. And the good news about all this technology, like what the previous speakers have already mentioned, is very readily available on your phone today in applications such as Pokemon Go, and it's really easy to get started. And users can already use AR via web browsers without even installing the application. So just now I did mention in regards to OnePlus, they actually launched this phone, OnePlus Nord. Without the ability to actually organize this big event, they went down the route of augmented reality, allowing their customers to have a mini keynote stage at home. They could even see all these amazing visuals that would not have been possible in person. And this is where we see as an opportunity for people to really pick up this technology and kickstart this experience. All right, how about using headsets, right? I believe you all have heard of things like the HoloLens device. So the next thing that mixed reality devices like the HoloLens headset itself enables is bespoke immersive storytelling experiences, unlike any other that you have seen today. Imagine being at a venue or in your own home, and each of these holograms can actually connect to your space, interact with you as if they are there in real life. You can use opportunities such as an event launch to tell stories connected to a real space, such as this history wall at the PwC office at Marina One. And each of these 3D models will tell you about the history of each of this company. And with PwC having such a long history, and they can definitely display all of this information over there. All right, moving along, we also have things that these experiences doesn't just stop at corporate events. Mixed reality itself enables stories such as your living room being attacked by alien robots. And it's up to you to use your awesome superpowers to actually shoot them down. You need to duck and crouch to avoid their fire as they crawl around your furniture. You can even hide behind your furnitures, all right? How about trying out things like, for example, a crime scene investigation story, all right? And a kidnapping that has actually occurred. It's up to you to talk to the characters in your room, look for different clues and solve puzzles to actually find out the mystery. And it's up to you to use your mixed reality abilities, be the hero, and save everybody over here. All right, just imagine the stories that you can actually tell your audiences via mixed reality. All right, just to elaborate a bit more on the office launch. So this is what we did with PwC. We were very lucky to have Minister Heng to grace the opening. And so he was actually putting on this HoloLens One device back then. They were able to see this entire timeline wall right in front of them. And from there, you're able to talk about the people, places, and things of PwC. Ultimately, it's an accounting firm. How do they convert from the abacus to the comptometer, Lotus 123, the calculator, and to today's Halo dashboard. And of course, after that, you can bring in videos, corporate video shoots, etc., to really tell this story to your end audience. Ultimately, they also had different locations that they want to tell people about. So they had different buildings, be it the McDonald House building, the One Marina location, etc. So that's where you're able to bring it out as a storytelling experience and really illustrate all of this to your end audience. And most importantly, you can see over here in this experience, it's a multiplayer experience. Different people wearing the headset can actually be immersed within this area at the exact same time, seeing the exact same models. From there, you can walk your VIP through, walk your end audience through, and really illustrate this story without using a 2D pitch deck like what I'm doing now, right? All right, so there's more of the office launch experience. All right, and we also want to talk a bit more about this opportunity of people being in the same space, looking at the exact same holograms, and how you actually work, learn, and play together. And this is one of the experiences that we did with National Museum of Singapore, which actually helped users learn about how each of these paintings in the exhibit were restored, and how we actually look at the real painting, how you can actually see the different X-ray and UV layers behind the surface, and each of these museum guides can actually teach you about the real tools that were used inside these art spaces. We have another use case over here. Our friends at Spatial have actually used such a collaboration feature to enable rich meetings that you can join from anywhere. You can use your headset, your tablet, your phones, and you can join the meeting, add photos, videos, and even look at the same 3D models. And this technology can be used for guided tours, museum curators, project launches together with influencers, and having your own meeting right in your space itself. All right. But what I really loved about being together in mixed reality is that we can still have fun, right? And even in a contactless way. And this is a game that Hello Holo has built. And you can see how easy it is to play a complex mind-bending game like 3D tic-tac-toe. All right, and this is an example of it over here. You can see two players, instead of being the first one to form one line, we're actually the one that forms the maximum number of lines after you fill up all the different grids. So with two players, you can bring, using your hand motion, bring up your fingers, spawn a ball, pick it up, pull onto these empty areas. And within this captured view, it's actually a third party that's doing what we call spectator view. All right, so this is one of the options of how you can actually stream this information and stream this experience across to your users who are not wearing the device. You can walk around the entire model, see things from different perspectives, and understand what are different areas that you can actually score points as well. All right, we bring this experience down to various events, exhibits, showrooms, etc. And realize that people get very immersed within this experience. It was meant to be a 3 to 5 minutes experience, but end up we have people hogging the device for 10 to 20 minutes just to compete with their friends again and again and again. All right, so this is one of the interesting experiences that you can actually play over here. All right, and over here, this is what we have, volumetric capturing. I'm sure some of you have heard about it before, but now everything is about 2D, it's about green screen technology, capturing a video of people. But now what we want to talk to you about 3 dimensions of capture, being able to capture a dancer, being able to capture a person doing a pitch, being able to see behind them. So what does it mean? All right, what we have over here is using a cheaper alternative, using Azure Kinect with the EFEVE software. All right, instead of just using things like volumetric capture studio with 100 over cameras, and pretty much the cost of it for every 5 minutes of capture will set you back about 20,000 USD. We have a much more cheaper alternative. This is by MetaStage. They are the ones also doing a very, very nice capture. All right, and this is one of the samples that they actually have. And you can see how they are able to get people gather around an area, capture the point cloud of them, and you're able to bring this augmented reality, or I would say these 3D models, right into your website, right into your mobile apps, right into your 3D presentations, etc. And from there, you can actually tell the story, especially if it's a complex story, right? I mean, if you are bringing a 2D pitch deck down to maybe a president or something like that, you have maybe 200 slides to go through. How do you effectively tell everything within a 3 to 5 minute story through these 3D captures? All right. Okay, I want to go something closer to home. All right. I'm sure all of you are aware of Industry 4.0. And from there, we have remote work made possible. So I just want to share a bit in regards to a product suite that is potential and possible with various headsets that are available. I won't touch too much into them, all right, just briefly running through them. All right, remote assist, I'm sure you all are aware of how one person to another person, you can call each of these remote on-site engineers. On the left side, you have what a person is wearing a headset will actually be able to see. And on the right side, you have the physical object over there. You are able to do things like two-way video and audio communication. You can do things like virtually annotating a real-world objects. You can do things like anchoring annotations to each of these physical objects. And you can even upload and send instant files, PDF documents, PNG accordingly. And over here, this is how the entire roadmap works. You have a remote inspector in Singapore with a remote assist license. You have an office engineer in Germany using either phone, mobile, desktop, or even a HoloLens as well. And you can even invite other people, guests, be it from India, San Francisco, anywhere in the world, and you can have this continuous two-way audio and video communication. So these are additional add-ons that you can use with such technology as well. That being said, I want to share a bit more about Whole Guides. This is where you can really reimagine the way that you present information. You no longer have to present on a PDF document. You no longer have to present on a video file, etc. What you can do is during this holographic walkthrough, having checklists and I would say customizable modules. So this is a sample video of it. All right, let me just play the video. Can take a look over here how you can pick up a car engine, see different text about it, and really teach people what are the different tools that you can actually come together to actually use, or I would say operate or run this process. All right, you can have safety checklists, allowing people to really go through each of these checklists accordingly, understanding how to actually lift up a car, how to actually operate certain machineries back in your operation space. And these are all step-by-step kinesthetic guides. And this is ways that you can actually give people walkthroughs back in the office itself. All right. And when we split up the different modules, we can see across 6 different modules. All right. How we actually start with lifting the car, changing oil filter, oil level check accordingly. And I just want to share a bit more that where can you actually use this, I would say, effectively. You can do it visual only, meaning that you're not at your workshop, you're not at a particular location. You can pretty much bring out these virtual elements right in front of you and just execute from there. You can have a digital twin, how you can actually have a replica of it. When you're on site, you can place these virtual objects right on top of it. You can just overlay information purely without these virtual items. All right, especially if you have a product and you want to actually pitch it to people and you want to sell it to people, it's going to be very difficult to just pass them a PDF document or just pass them this video file itself. People are not going to have the context or an understanding of it in 3 different dimensions, right? So how do you actually do it effectively? Through these means and methods of holographic displays. All right, we can always run it through assessment, step-by-step simulation, post-performance metrics. We can analyze the number of errors that were made. We can track what each person is actually looking at within the entire scene as well. All right, we also have audit. I'm sure all of you have done physical inspections, physical checklists accordingly. And then from there, we can actually understand complex workflows made simple. So how do we do that? Through this element itself. All right, you can see over here how you have this site inspection. You're able to analyze different reference pictures, having different inspection notes, having different titles. And then from there, you're able to do text-to-speech. You're able to do recordings. You're able to anchor down your holograms in your space, walk back to it, and you still are able to see it as well. All right, and you can pass, fail, skip different steps accordingly. All right, so this is really what we call auditing taken to a next level. You can be able to capture rich artifacts, hands-free auditing, working with custom templates, powered by gestures and voice, generate your instant reports, and also move your processes online. All of this is backed and powered by a cloud dashboard and cloud database accordingly. All right, the next one, I believe this will be quite interesting, is more of holometrics and more of contextual visualization. All right, having smart data visualization and from there, real-world applications. So this is an example of it, how you have a car, how you have complex machineries, you're able to understand what's the temperature flow of it, what's the CO2 emission of a particular car. This is all for high-level stakeholders to actually see things. You can click on it, you can drill down inside it, and be able to understand information from there as well. All right, we also have opportunities with remote rendering. I'm sure that we always want to push the limits of being able to display as detailed models as possible. So how do you do that? Potentially through this Azure remote rendering tool, where you can actually bring in live scale experiences. I actually have this QR code available over here, Apollo 11 HoloLens 2 demo. For those that are interested, you can actually scan it and see how real life storytelling is done and how it's being illustrated by the Microsoft team and how they actually show you how the person actually stepped on the moon for the first time. All right, so this is an interesting storytelling experience. You can go ahead, take it back and be able to watch it at your homes. All right. Okay, next thing, just want to briefly talk about on spectator view. I did mention how you're able to let multiple people be able to see different things accordingly and how you can actually bring in other options instead of just wearing a headset. All right, and over here we have these mobile tools. You're able to bring it on either iPhone, bring it onto an Android, scan the QR code, and you can immerse yourself into exact same 3D models accordingly. All right, it can be done with a GoPro setup, it can be done with a DSLR setup, or iPhone and Android. And why we have this, the headset itself already has a live streaming option, but there's about a 2 to 3 second delay between what you're seeing. And because of that, this is where this DSLR setup and all will give you a 0 latency streaming option. All right, other opportunities, there's definitely things like the 360 use cases, but I won't touch too much on that, but that's definitely an option as well. All right, so how do you get started? We do have a developer course, we do have general training. Do reach out to us for more information, but we find ourselves as enablers and helping people to understand and how to actually effectively use the correct use cases, correct devices for the correct software solutions. All right, device rentals, we do that as well. Artist design and services, as well as VR solutions. All right. So yes, I think I've came to an end of what I want to show and share with everybody. And I think I'll leave the rest of the time more for the Q&A side of things. All right, thank you very much. Looking forward to the Q&A section.
Thank you very much, Cheng Heng. What an informative and entertaining series of presentations we have had for this session. Cheng Heng, just some specific questions that we got regarding Hello Holo's technology, and I'll read them up for you now. Can HoloLens media be adapted to improve customer service in hospitality? Hotel front desk staff eventually won't need a desk at all, or will they? Or a hotel staff, can they be using the technology to identify the name of a guest and their preferences? Cheng Heng?
Very nice question. Very interesting as well that you mentioned in regards to this hospitality side of things. I think I just want to bring it across that number one, during this entire COVID situation, we do see a lot of people taking on these augmented reality devices. And one of the key activations we see at places like Dubai, UAE, we see in China, there are law enforcement agents wearing headsets. They are scanning people's temperature, all right, and with a front-facing video camera. So effectively, yes, you can actually use these tools for hotel front desk staff. And essentially with each of these camera inputs, you can actually capture face recognition of different people. So the technology is already there. But of course, there's going to be that PDPA side of things that we actually have to manage expectations with. How do you make sure that, that there's a fine line drawn between that? But yes, definitely it's possible. They can identify the name of their guests, the preferences of each of them accordingly. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, actually I have another question. Do you think AR will be used widely in the retail store?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely potential to use it in the retail stores. There are multiple use cases, right? Number one, when you're trying to physically stock up your the store itself, how do you actually virtually visualize each of these elements without having to physically bring it in by the store managers? So you can do all your planning of the space accordingly. So that's one definitely use case. Next, instead of giving them just a simple video there to actually let them to watch it and understand the product, you can give them this type of mixed reality tools, especially if it's I would say a higher valued product. You might want to give them such an enhanced solution in order to experience it more. So it's definitely a use case.
Yeah, but actually, like if it affect with this, and then you think like will be affect to the retail store right now that we're doing?
I mean, okay, nowadays with retail stores, more and more shopping is moving online. More and more, I mean, we are not really doing our window shopping anymore, right? And there's in this entire COVID situation. But I'm sure that there are different ways of doing it. Like for example, AR's magic mirrors, being able to wear the clothes effectively on site without really putting it on. So I wouldn't say that it's completely going to be replacement, but it's going to be more of an enhancement and more of a catalyst with whatever that we are experiencing today.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for Q&A. Yes.
Thank you very much, Cheng Hing. In fact, it's been a very interesting discussion, and I'd just like to throw this question out to all our presenters. With regards to AR, VR technology, in your experience over the past decade, how quickly has various industries, how quickly have they been brought up to speed on the potential for these technologies? And how quickly has the adoption rate been? Do you see an acceleration in the adoption rate? Maybe Saham would like to take on this question first.
Sure, yeah. It's an interesting question because it really does depend on the market segment you're talking about. I think in the last 10 years with the, how virtual reality headsets and augmented reality on everyone's phone has kind of been democratized. It's no longer requiring you to have a high-end, the PC always, you can, I think when it first started, if you all remember Google Cardboard, that was a very powerful, with a piece of your phone and some cardboard, you're able to achieve these experiences. Now, what it has opened up the door to has people taking these same technologies and applying them in different applications, right? So for us, what's really exciting has always been things like projection mapping, things like outdoor, exo type of engagements. Whereas these guys, the guys that are on the panel might have more to say on the mobile side, but we find, yes, there's definitely the Snapchat filters and other AR experiences at home, but effectively people always want to see something grand that they can't achieve at home necessarily, right? Which is why we've always had movie theaters. Everyone loves going to the movie theaters because you couldn't do it at home. But now all of a sudden everybody has a 4K TV at home. What are you going to go to the movie theater for when you have a better experience at home? So it really just depends. But I do see it accelerating in the next few years, hopefully with touchless and hopefully bringing back more and more experiences being done on our mobile devices.
Thanks, Saham. Maybe we can go over to Eugene. Eugene, you've obviously got a handle on the local market in Singapore. Maybe some perspective from there.
So just now your question was about whether it has grown quickly. I think Facebook and Instagram has really made augmented reality grow massively. And then the reach is, Saham was talking about frictionless. I think that is really the key to getting it to the mass market. And so now it has become, they managed to sneak AR into the mass market without even calling it AR. It's Instagram filters. So people are using it without really knowing that they're actually using augmented reality, but they are. So I think that's the direction that it will go. And for the headset wise, it really has to become less frictionful. Maybe with lighter headsets, maybe with like glasses of this size. Then it will be more mass market. So for now, the Oculus Quest is really, really good. I'm very happy with it, but it can be better.
It's a lot of tools. I mean, WebGL and WebVR, these things that now you don't have to download an app. That's always been a giant hurdle of, I don't want to have to download an app. I want to go to a website, pull up my phone and be able to experience it. Now the tools are available for us to do stuff like that.
Yes, web VR, there's a web AR, there's a lot of requests for it also, but generally from the China, from the China companies, because they don't have Facebook and Instagram. Usually, I would say the experience on Instagram and Facebook is way less laggy than the web AR. So, but I'm sure it's gonna get better. I'm sure it's gonna get better. Then maybe Instagram and Facebook might be sweating because web AR would get too good.
Okay, we've got one more question from the floor, from Lena Quack, and she says, there seems to be more focus...
Oh, you're a bit muffled. You're a bit muffled.
Apologies. I've got one more question from the floor, and this is from Lena Quack. She says, there seems to be more focus on warfare in the AR development. Surely there are other beneficial applications that can be applied on the medical front, etc. So she's asking for other potential applications. Perhaps Cheng Heng?
So yeah, I think, thank you for that question. Yes, definitely there's a lot of warfare use cases. We do see US Army investing into things like the HoloLens device, doing the IVAS set. But of course, within the medical field, we also do see such use cases as well. Why is because, think about it, last time, especially every single medical practitioner out there, they're still seeing X-rays and CT scans on 2D elements itself. But now with devices like a HoloLens, you are finally able to bring in all of this information into this 3D display right in front of you. And you can contextually discuss about it between doctors instead of having to reimagine and reposition each of these elements on top of patients just purely out of imaginations. You can have this representative 3D image with colors right in front of them. And this will actually help them with the accuracy much better as compared to last time as well. So definitely on medical front, be it in simulation, in operations, we do see people using that already. Just that this technology, especially on the HoloLens device itself, is slightly more on the expensive end, and there are only that limited people with their hands on these devices, and also that many people on, I would say, developing on this area as well.
Great, thank you very much. I think that's all. Oh, hang on, we've got one more question, maybe just one more minute, specifically for Cheng Heng. This is from Edwin, and he's asking, can Holo do a real-time collaboration with the owner? For example, interior projects, changing the furniture and the interiors or wallpaper. At the same time, can the owner see change through their mobile devices?
All right, thank you very much, Edwin, for that question. And the answer is yes. All right. Essentially, I think within the presentation itself, I did mention that the HoloLens can be connected together with the mobile phones as well. So you are not just restricted on the HoloLens device unit itself. All right, I want to just put it out there that when you're writing one line of code, you're essentially building it for the HoloLens as well as for the iOS, as well as for the Android. And effectively, yes, you can have an interior project right in front of you. You can change the furnitures, change the textures, re-change the position of it. And the owner of it, or whoever that's present with you on site, can actually explore this entire changing of this environment with you at the exact same time. So this is one of the key activations for various industry stakeholders, be it developers, property agents, etc. So yes, it's definitely possible, and it's already being done.
Okay, would any of our other speakers have anything to add to that?
I got a question for Cheng Heng. Because
yes,
I was at the Microsoft Ignite conference last year, right? So I tried the HoloLens. They were actually asking to like see whether I wanted to play with it. So like they would pass me one HoloLens, and then I would play with it. So I went to try, very excited. I went to try it out, and they did this remote. There was another instructor telling us how to fix some industrial thing, and that was really good. But I'm really disappointed with the field of view, which is like so little. It's like $5,000, and then the field of view is so like this. I know other AR headsets with a phone and then some reflective thing that has bigger field of view than that. What do you think of the field of view, and why is it so little?
Yeah. Thank you, Eugene. Yes, I believe that there's always a concern with people in regards to the field of view. And just to elaborate a bit more on that, HoloLens 1 came with a 30-degree field of view. And now with HoloLens 2, it's about 52 degrees field of view. And typically, other devices out there, like the Magic Leap, we are also seeing about 50 degrees field of view. It can never be compared to things like the VR headsets out there. Ultimately, when we talk about mixed reality, it's meant to be able to help you and enable you when you're having these real life experiences. So it's not meant to replace you completely away from your real life surroundings. It's not meant to distract you from your real life surroundings, and meant for you to be, I would say, adding virtual elements inside here. And yes, I would say the hardware is always a limitation. And that's also one of the key things that we have to work around. And when you did mention about this placing of the different screens, etc., but I would say that one of the key, I would say, factors that the HoloLens, why it's so expensive is also because of things like the 10-finger tracking, how he has a full Microsoft community behind it, how he's able to do active spatial scanning of the environment, and he's able to place in all these 3D objects right in your space without the need of any other spatial computing requirements, be it a VR-ready computer, and all of these are all Wi-Fi enabled. So I think this is one of the key reasons why HoloLens set itself apart from the rest and why its price point is that high as well. But yes, I truly agree that it won't be able to reach commercialization, or I would say that you won't be able to reach that mass market until the price comes down, or maybe even potentially people like Apple glasses come out, etc. They could potentially reinvent the entire AR/MR sector of it. So we are definitely looking at seeing how new technology comes out, new hardware comes out. People like Edreal is coming out as well. So we hope to see this technology helping and enhancing the field of view, making even it, potentially even making it, I would say, modular. Sometimes if you want it to be fully immersed, sometimes you want it to just be a small field of view. I think if that is an opportunity and that's an option, that will be a lot more effective across different industries. So yes, that's definitely one of the limitations.
Great, thank you, Ching Hing. I'm going to have to close the Q&A session now for shortage of time. And we really hope that you found something new from today's session. We thank all our panelists, our speakers, and of course, our participants and audience members on Zoom and Facebook as well. Do check the schedule for other interesting and more informative BeyondX sessions continuing this afternoon and through tomorrow. And on behalf of my co-moderator, Lalida in Thailand, thank you, and we'll see you in the next cycle of BeyondX. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.